Hi everyone, welcome back to Pablo Tutors. Um, well, it's nighttime as usual. I like to film at night, but today we're going to be doing the reading comprehension, which is section 4 of the paper. It's the last section, it's the only part of the paper that you'll be writing in English. So to me, it's the best section, but if you don't know the vocab in the comprehension, then that's going to be a problem. But so that's why you have to make sure that you revise your vocabulary, especially for this section. So yeah, let's get into it. So read the following selection carefully. Do not translate but answer the questions in English. You'll be penalized for disregarding these instructions. And the topic or the title of this passage is Flying with Gatiana. Okay. Viajar en avión con Gatiana es una experiencia inolvidable porque ella tiene un miedo tremendo de volar. Oh, the strategy for me is to read the whole thing in Spanish, then go over it in English, then go over it like deciphering it in English. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to go line by line and then answer the questions. So, flying with Gatiana. So, viajar en avión con Gatiana es una experiencia inolvidable porque ella tiene un miedo tremendo de volar. So, traveling by plane with Gatiana is an unforgettable experience because she has a tremendous fear of flying. Recientemente tuve la mala fortuna de viajar por primera vez con Gatiana de regreso de una conferencia en Trinidad. Gatiana le pidió a la empleada de la aerolínea que le diera una silla junto a mí, ya que me iba a necesitar. Antes de subir al avión, ella hizo un Recently, I had the bad luck of traveling, or the misfortune of traveling for the first time with Gatiana, returning from a conference in Trinidad. Gatiana asked the airline employee to give her a seat next to me since she was going to need me. So antes de subir al avión, ella hizo un sinfín de preguntas, queriendo saber si el avión funcionaba bien, si el piloto tenía experiencia y si la aeromoza sabía qué hacer en una emergencia. So before boarding the plane, she asked endless questions. Sinfín, just like how it sounds, without end. Un sinfín de preguntas is like a large amount of questions. Wanting to know if the plane was working well, if the pilot had experience, and if the air hostess knew what to do in an emergency. El avión despegó y yo hablaba con Gatiana para tranquilizarla. De repente encontramos cierta turbulencia y mi amiga se puso loca de miedo. Me agarró las manos, gritando que íbamos a morir. So the plane took off and I started talking with Gatiana to calm her down. Suddenly, we were in a bit of turbulence and my friend got crazy with fear. She grabbed my hand screaming that we were going to die. Afortunadamente, en pocos minutos, todo se tranquilizó y la hermosa pudo calmar a mi amiga. Yo, al contrario, tuve que ir al médico ya que por muchos días sufrí de dolores en las muñecas. So, fortunately, in a few minutes, everything calmed down and the air hostess could calm down my friend. Managed to calm down my friend. Put there in the portrait is managed to. I, on the other hand, had to go to the doctor since I suffered from wrist pains for many days. Desde ese día, cada vez que mi amiga me pregunta cuándo voy al extranjero, yo siempre le digo que todavía no he planeado nada. So since that day, every time my friend asks me when I'm going overseas, I always tell her that I haven't planned anything yet. Okay, sorry if that was a little bumpy, you know? A night. Anyway, answer in English the following questions based on the selection you have just read. I read it one time for the purpose of the video, but in the exam you'll have more time. I think it's 2 hours 15 minutes. You can go over the passage as many times as you want, underline parts that you find tricky or can't necessarily approximate in English, and try to figure it out. Sometimes you can use context clues to like figure out a part if you don't exactly know how to translate it. So anyway, A. How does the author describe traveling with her friend Gatiana? So we go back. She said it's an unforgettable experience because she has a tremendous fear of flying. Okay. One, um, that whole sentence there, but if you look at B, the last part of the sentence about Gatiana having a tremendous fear of flying, that's for B. So you don't put that part there. So you have to be careful in question that you don't answer another question beforehand or include the answer for another question in this part. So how does the author describe traveling with her friend Gatiana? She describes traveling with Gatiana as an unforgettable experience. Oh, do we know if it's a she though? No. Oh, wait, do we? I don't think we do. Alright, just to be safe, we're gonna use the author. So, the author, and I like to answer in complete sentence. Oh, it says use a complete sentence. So, you're using a complete sentence for each response. So, how does the author describe traveling? The author describes traveling with Gatiana as an unforgettable experience. And that's the answer. 2 marks. How does Gatiana feel about traveling by plane? Gatiana has an immense fear of traveling by plane. You don't necessarily have to write it back exact. Just write it back in a way that conveys the same meaning in English. As I said, you don't have to translate exactly. So just write it back showing that you've understood it and that you understand the meaning of the passage. When was the first time that the author traveled with Gatiana? Well, let's go back. When was the first time? Okay, she said recently she had the misfortune or really bad luck of traveling for the first time with Gatiana. Okay, so coming back from a conference in Trinidad. So that was the first time. So the author first traveled with Gatiana on a return flight from a conference in Trinidad. And that's the answer. What request did Gatiana make of the airline official and why? So go back up. What request did she make? Oh yeah, travel vocab. Look at travel vocab. They often put that in. So okay, here's the request. She asked the airline employee to give her a seat next to me since she was going to need me. Okay, and he said what request did Gatiana make and why? So Gatiana asked the airline official to put her in a seat next to the author since she was going to need the author. Again, I'm going to look if they gave us a gender for the author, but I don't want to say she. It just sounds like it would have been a she, but I can't say for sure. Okay, I don't see anything in like first person. So again, so I'm gonna say the author. So what were Gatiana's 3 concerns before boarding the plane? Remember when we were reading something about the pilot and if the so here, wanting to know if the plane was working well, if the pilot had experience, and if the air hostess knew what to do in an emergency. So those are the 3 concerns. So Gatiana wanted to know if the pilot had experience, if the plane was working well, And if the air hostess, oh, well, and if the air hostess or flight attendant knew what to do in an emergency, what did the author do when the plane took off and why? Let's see. What did the author do when the plane took off and why? So here, the plane took off and I started to talk to Gatiana to calm her down. Okay, so those are the 2 marks. Starting to talk to her, calming her down. So the marks are very specific for this one. You know exactly what you're getting the mark for. So the author started talking to Gatiana to calm her down. Yep. And what suddenly happened during the flight? I don't even have to go back. I remember specifically that they said there was turbulence. So there was sudden turbulence. Okay, but yeah, for the sake of going back's sake, let's just de repente means suddenly. Okay, encontramos, we found certain turbulence, or we were in certain turbulence. It's like the better translation. Okay, so how did Gatiana react? Go back again. Always consult the passage. Okay, mi amiga se puso loca de miedo. So she got crazy with fear. She became crazy with fear. I don't know if I should put it back exact. She got very fearful. Okay, let's just say, let's write it back. Gatiana became crazy with fear. I don't know if I love that. I'm gonna leave it, but don't love that. Why did the author need medical attention? I remember her wrists, muñecas. Okay, so afortunadamente en pocos minutos, so everything calmed down. The air hostess could calm down my friend. I, on the other hand, had to go to the doctor since for many days I suffered wrist pain. So that's exactly what we're gonna write back. The author needed medical attention, or we didn't even have to write that back. The author suffered wrist pain for several days. Okay, and last question. Explain the author's reaction when Gatiana asked her when she would be traveling abroad. Okay, go back. So she said, from that day, every time that my friend asks me when I'm going abroad, I always tell her that I haven't planned anything yet. And that's the answer for that. So explain the author's reaction when Gatiana asked her when she would be traveling abroad. The author tells Gatiana that she has not planned anything as yet. And that's the 3 marks actually. Don't think that you're missing anything. That is the 3 marks. The author tells Gatiana that she has not planned anything as yet. Done. So those are actually the 20 marks. Most of the answers I would say are simple, straightforward. You just have to keep going back to the passage and referencing and interpreting what you're reading. But yeah, I would say it is this one was a straightforward passage. I liked it. Simple, easy, a plane and being afraid on the plane, all of that. And the questions were simple. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching.